Ladies and gentlemen, we are now live.
Thank you very much. The time is now 6:53 p.m. and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were myself, Mayor Pro Tem Barney, Trustee Barella, Trustee Birma, Trustee Wiegert, Trustee Harper, Trustee George, and for a portion of the executive session, Administrator Edwards. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matter not included in the motion to go into the executive session or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, we will now take a brief recess to begin our regular meeting at 7 p.m.
Hi, everybody. It's Dale Garland.
There's Dale Garland.
I know it's Dale Garland. How are you, Dale?
I did when I was over there. When I came over.
Doing well. How are all of you?
I'm fabulous.
Just to let you know, we are currently in a break before we start the meeting.
Okay.
If you want, go ahead and kill your video and audio until it is your turn. This is
Sure.
Nate, by the way,
Okay.
and we will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You betcha.
Hello to Town Hall. I'm ready when you are. Nate, are we good to go on your end? Thank you very much. Good evening, Silverton. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees, May 24th, 2021. The time's 7:01 p.m. and we call this regular meeting to order. Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Barella,
Here.
Trustee Harper,
Here.
Trustee Weger,
Here.
Trustee Bierma,
Here.
Trustee George,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Here.
Mayor Furman.
Here. Administrator Edwards, would you like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under
God, indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all.
Amen.
Chairman, you not hear that? You don't stand up? Holy cow.
Please reserve public comment for public comment section.
Any staff or board revisions to tonight's agenda?
Yes. I would like to have, because I'm not sure what this is actually trying to say, consideration to revise meeting protocol relating to COVID-19. So I would like that either at the beginning or I'm going to start off the meeting with the motion to repeal. So are we talking about those as one and the same? That's what I wanted clarification on.
That's what that's for, Trustee Burrow.
Okay, then I would like it set as item, instead of I being A, and then just move the rest of it.
And is just for clarification as well, isn't item G the mask ordinance that would make sense to put with that?
G says the adoption of a resolution. No, because you need to repeal the first one before you adopt a new one.
Right, but isn't resolution 2021-04 the resolution that's repealing the current mask ordinance in Silverton? And so should we
That's why I
make
asked
that?
what was the consideration to revise the meeting protocols relating to COVID-19 as I asked if they were one and the same. That's what I am trying to determine.
Great question. I agree. That's a good question. And I was just clarifying that I think resolution 2021-04 is the mask ordinance for town. And then that provision, that consideration to revise meeting protocols relates to number of people in town hall and things of that nature. So I agree with you that we can move that one to A, and then should we move the consideration to adopt resolution 2021-04 to B so that we're talking about both COVID related things back to back?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what I was asking for the clarification for. Thank you.
All right, any other trustee or staff revisions to the agenda? All right. At this time, we'll open the meeting for public comment. Comments must be limited to 3 minutes in duration. If you're on Zoom, please click the raise hand button, and our deputy clerk, Nathan Baxter, will promote you to panelist in order to speak.
We do have Albert Pyrick, which we are promoting to panelist.
Great, and I think I'm going to defer to you, deputy clerk, since I'm participating remotely, and it'll be easier for you to see the screen and monitor who's speaking when, and I'll just keep track of the time.
Albert, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
My name is Albert Hyrick. I'm not a fan of OHVs. I have tolerated them in years past because they help businesses that have become dependent on the demographic. And I believe that a wise management plan could be created. I suggested solutions to the mayor and board to transition away from the OHV crowd, allowing businesses time to adjust to less impactful guests. The mayor has ignored me for a year, choosing instead to spend his time running background checks on me and others in his silly attempt to find anything he can use to bully us into silence. What the mayor and his 3 minions did last meeting was pre-planned and decided in back rooms. How do we know this? Watch the YouTube video, read the minutes. Without Birma or Barney ever voicing an opinion on the issue, Trustee Birma began to make a motion, but was cut off. Trustee discussion continued without Barney or Birma offering anything worthwhile. Without ever hearing what Birma's motion was going to be, Mayor Pro Tem Barney seconded the motion. Is Sally Barney psychic? How would she possibly know what motion was going to be made if behind the scenes planning had not occurred? Unlawful planning. According to statute 24-6-402 of the Colorado Code, this was an unlawful act to forward the mayor's agenda, hurt the businesses of his rivals on the board, and give a huge middle finger to those who spurned his school property plans and Kendall Mountain real estate scheme. Trustee Birma, I've given you the opportunity to stand up and say, I'm the trustee who handed over documents to Mr. Hyrick to undermine the mayor, but you never have. I'm the one who alerted the board of your sneaky, dishonest attempts to get me to do your job. You suffered no repercussions for that betrayal of your public office. Yet immediately after, you began voting 100% of the time with the mayor, and like your idol, began disrespecting our flag, our country, and veteran residents by refusing to stand during the pledge. Seems mighty odd. Now we have you sneaking around, working behind the citizens' backs to move forward an item that benefits the mayor and his investors while screwing many of the residents. I certainly hope you don't teach ethics in your classroom. Despite my opposition to OHVs in general, the last vote should be nullified. The voice of the people was spoken, but never heard. The decision was already in the bag. Every other issue will be decided in the same manner. Big ski resort at Kendall, 4-3. Hire a town attorney who skis with the mayor, 4-3. Hire a town administrator with ties to Selwyn, 4-3. These 4 self-serving, dishonest public servants need to be recalled, not for banning OHVs, but in how they did it and why. If we allow these 4 to continue to secretly decide the fate of Silverton over cocktails and giggles, we will suffer the consequences for decades. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do not see any other public comment at this time. Oh, here we go.
Mr. Keene, you have the floor.
Outstanding. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I would like to challenge the board on the topic of ethics. In corporate America, it is encouraged for employees of a company to bring qualified candidates to be considered for open positions. Even a member of management can recommend a candidate he or she knows for a position on their own team. The one caveat being, if they have any sort of relationship with a person outside of work, they are automatically removed from the hiring process. This is due to having a conflict of interest. Individuals should avoid engaging in conflicts of interest whereby personal, financial, or other considerations have the potential to influence or compromise professional judgment and objectivity. At the board meeting at the beginning of May, in the notes on page 88, it refers to one of the candidates as, and I quote, Mayor Furman's ski buddy. I also understand one of the candidates was dismissed due to having relationships with the Harper family. However, the attorney in question and Mayor Furman's obvious choice has not been dismissed. Not only is this a lack of consistency, but it is also, in my opinion, a subject the Colorado Independent Ethics Commission would find in violation of Article 29 of the Colorado Constitution in regards to ethics. Just because the board votes 4-3 on every major issue affecting this town does not mean it's right, nor does it mean it's a representation of the citizens of this town. I would challenge every member of the board to be engaged. Do what's right, preserve your own integrity, and don't compromise your own moral compass, Do not find yourself in the future on the wrong side of an investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you'd like to make a public comment, please click the raise hand button in Zoom and we'll promote you to panelist. Seeing none, we will close public comment at this time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
do we have any public comment for the in-person?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there folks in person that would like to speak?
Is there anyone that's in person here tonight that want to speak under the public comment rubric, or is everyone here for an actual item?
We're here for an actual item.
But for public comment or for something on the
I
agenda?
got a public comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to know why Mr. Behrman lives in this town or even in this country. Can you answer that?
This is not appropriate. We're
Oh,
gonna have
it
to
ain't?
cut you off. Thank
It
you.
ain't?
No, attacking an administrator during public or a trustee during public comment is not appropriate, but thank you.
Maybe if
If you'd like to use the rest of your time for something that's not attacking, you're welcome to.
Is there anyone else that wants public comment time? 3 minutes. That's it. Mayor
All
Furman.
right, thank you. At this time, we'll close public comment. There will be another public comment period at the end of the meeting. Do we have any presentations or proclamations today, Administrator Edwards?
The first, oh, no, we just have new business unless somebody has. Is there anybody here for a presentation or proclamation that's not on the agenda? There's no presentations or proclamations today, Mayor Furman.
Thank you very much.
Please.
The next item is the finance update.
Okay, Mr. Ryder had a report to myself and the town clerk, Kelly, and I were provided this report that's discusses the actual budget variances and then goes into the April documentation. Are there any questions about that this evening? No. Okay. We have been keeping up with the account, the bank account. That doesn't include the 200 or the 180,000 or the other 40 in the public, but in the general bank account right now, we have 1.4 million. And obviously we've talked about that before. Some of that's allocated, but that's approximately 400,000 more than we had last year at this time. Okay, I think we can go on, and we moved I believe to A, if I'm correct, Trustee Varela, which is in reference to 2020-05.
So this is consideration to approve to revise meeting protocols related to COVID-19.
Yes, that would be 2020-05.
So I'm looking for the documentation in here.
I'm not sure if 2020-05 is in the packet.
I have 2020-05 pulled up. That's why I had asked if 2021-04 and the two of them are basically the same. So, because we don't have a meeting protocol that we ever devised. Everything off of the recommendation of the county and the CDC and the state work. All we ever did was read it. Resolution number 2020-05, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of Silverton, Colorado, advising the public to wear facial coverings while visiting public businesses and when safe social distancing cannot be maintained. So that's why I was asking, what is the two of these? They should be lumped into one, because if we're going to go with this, then it says resolution 2021-4, resolution of the Board of Trustees of Silverton, Colorado, to repeal the resolution 2020-05 in regards to face covering and social distancing, and providing support for the right individuals of businesses to be free of choice and how to protect themselves from COVID-19. So we're repealing one, replacing it with the other. But what is the consideration for the revised meeting protocols related to COVID-19?
It's the repeal of 2020-05, which is in this 2021-04. And direction on a number that you want us to allow in to be available for people, the public, to come in.
State of Colorado, you have to follow the guidelines from the CDHP because that's what the county adopted. So that's 100 persons within a room this size, up to 500 or outdoor events. I mean, our PIO has all of that information and it's readily available.
Yes, it's 100. If we continue to do Zoom and use this, it's going to take up a certain amount. We can put the tables in the back. When Nathan and I talked to Building Inspector McDougall about fire and using all this under rearranging the room, what was the number?
I believe it was no more than 70.
70 or 75.
Okay, so that puts us back to within a normal range of the public being let in to public meetings. And I think that the Zoom protocol should always exist because now we're not alienating anybody who does not have the ability to come themselves to be able to speak. I think this kind of hybrid is actually a really wonderful thing. You're not taking away the ability for the disabled and or somebody who is still possibly not vaccinated and feels that they could be exposed in public. So the hybrid, I'm not against by any means. I think it's a wonderful thing, but to not allow the public to have their say and to be here with us needs to convey, because that was only ever a strongly worded advisory based on what the CDC and the county had said. And then the county took over and we accepted every county mandate after that.
So is the direction of the board to adjust the meeting protocols to allow up to 75 people in person, maintaining the hybrid in-person and virtual meeting format, and then we'll separately discuss the repeal of 2020-05 and adoption of 2021-04?
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the first portion of that's just a direction to the town, because I believe it's the administrator that has the authority to set the meeting protocols.
So it could have been done already, is what you're saying, Mr. Mayor?
I said, I don't know.
Okay. Because I believe you're right, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, is there any further discussion on that, revising the protocols as stated?
No,
Okay.
that looks good.
I support that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. The next item is, I guess, slightly revised, but it's consideration to adopt resolution 2021-04 repealing resolution 2021-04 repealing 2020-05. Is that correct?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 2021-4, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of Silverton, Colorado, repealing resolution number 2020-05 regarding face coverings and social distancing and providing support for the rights of the individuals and businesses to be free to choose how to protect themselves from COVID-19. I should wear my glasses. I apologize.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk Baxter, roll call, please.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Birma.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes. And I'd like to clarify something real quick. While I don't know whether or not that power rested solely in the administrator or with the board's direction, the issue that was my understanding up to this point was proper notice and what was included in the meeting agendas. That was my understanding. All right. The next item we have is setting a work session for Kendall RFP.
Good to go.
We're good to go.
Okay, on that, I just think that this is an issue to work on with the next administrator, and it feels premature to set that date without a discussion with the next administrator, is my thought.
You want to repeat? I don't know if that was there. Do you want to repeat? Was that there?
It wasn't there.
Okay. Did everyone hear?
I can just lead that discussion off, just to say that having served on the Kendall Committee and noting that we haven't met, and Lisa's resignation from her position at Town Hall, I think puts us in a position where that conversation needs to be put off until we get the next administrator onboarded and updated, and we see where it goes from there.
I agree. I think that sounds good.
Okay, I believe that's a very good decision based on the turnover.
Great, I agree as well. Any other discussion?
No, sounds good.
All right, thank you. Moving along to new business, set work session for ordinance 2020-02, seasonal employee RV parking. Administrator Edwards, is this something you want to brief or have Planner Adair brief, or do we just want to talk about a date for a work session?
I want to, do we have staff on right now just so we can clarify what is being proposed? That would be Lisa.
Promoting Director Adair now.
Director Adair, you've been promoted.
Hello.
Hello.
I would be happy to answer any questions you might have about this ordinance from last year. I would recommend that you set a work session to discuss possible changes and interpretation of this ordinance from last year, which actually appears to have been written before 2016.
Lisa, could you just identify just briefly, ever so briefly, the issues that you're having with it? or some of the things that we need to think about?
Right. It's come to my attention that we're getting a lot of requests for water and sewer taps for vacant lots next to people's houses, which could be a large amount of RVs. And then there's some questions on the interpretation of what properties are eligible to have RVs and which ones are not. And the building inspector and public works director are wanting some direction on interpreting the existing ordinance and perhaps some updating to this ordinance from 2020.
Thanks, Lisa. Are you asking for a work session with the whole board?
Or do you want it to go to committee?
Yeah.
Do you want it to go to committee?
I think the intention was to set a work session and ask the board for direction. And then if the board would like some revisions made, eventually revisions would be brought to a committee to review.
I'm okay either way. Normally we'd go to committee first and then bring the revisions back.
I actually think that it's going to be easier to put a committee together and kind of talk about it. Are you thinking about a specific committee or one that just volunteers right now?
Well, we have
Lisa recommends.
committee called the ordinance committee.
Okay. Yep. Okay. No, that's fine.
Is there any immediate guidance needed for people who are seeking clarification on this now that are otherwise unable to set up this emergency housing?
Yes, Mayor. The request for how to interpret the existing ordinance came from the Public Works Department, Building Department, to ask the Board of Trustees how they would like the town staff to interpret this. And then part two would be changes or no changes that might be needed to this ordinance.
Right, thank you. I understand that. I guess my question is, are there specific instances right now where someone maybe isn't able to have housing because of how this is being interpreted that needs to be reviewed more expeditiously?
I think the critical issue right now is installation of water taps, and if that's okay with the town board or not okay.
Water taps.
It says in here that, let's see, RV and campers shall be fully self-contained and holding tank shall be emptied on a regular basis at an approved dump station. So that means that the answer would be no, because it's pretty much written right there. It tells you that we are only asking for people to be self-contained. They're not tapping into existing water and sewer. And then it goes on to say that no generators, loud noises are allowed before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m. All trash is required to go to the transfer station. Fee and property shall be kept up in a neat, orderly manner. And then you must have the town placard permit inside the front windshield of the vehicle. Let's see, and it is in perpetuity unless revoked by the board. And it does say, if a person is self-employed and a business license or other documentation demonstrating employment shall be deemed acceptable for the purposes of verifying employment requirements. So what instance have you had with self-employment? Somebody just saying, hey, I'm self-employed, I'm an artist, and I get to stay here and do whatever I want? Is that kind of the case without a business license?
No, I
mean, what other situations can you really think of?
Remote work.
Huh?
Remote work. I don't know.
Remote, exactly. So, but if you don't have a business license within the 81433 and you pay the town of Silverton, you're not qualifying under what's written. So is that the direction you were looking for, Lisa?
I was asked to look at this ordinance because there's requests for water taps and sewer taps. And the main critical issue is that we need direction from the board whether to install those or not. Some of the people's vacant lands are non-contiguous with the lots on which their houses exist. So this also has to do with the interpretation of which types of properties are eligible. And not aware of, you would need to ask the public works director or the building inspector. And that was supposed to be the purpose of a work session.
Doesn't, I know the whereas clauses aren't necessarily the controlling portions of the ordinance, but it does say whereas campers may be parked for occupancy on or adjacent to occupied residential property. So doesn't that pretty clearly say that it has to be adjacent to?
Yes.
Yes.
So doesn't that also clarify one of those questions?
Well, that's in the whereas section, and on the back page, page 2, there on page 2, the actual restrictions wording just says that it just says entirely on private if the property is residential or otherwise, occupied or otherwise. Another item is a adjacent property. Does that mean across the alley, or does it have to be next to? And the concept of a work session was not my concept, but I think that a work session before a regular meeting would be a good idea to let staff look into this further with the building inspector and public works director, who could provide more background info on the interpretation questions they have. And then I would be present as well, and if you have any questions. And that would probably be the purpose of a work session, perhaps 6 to 7 before one of your regular meetings.
I think a work session is a good idea. This is a pretty complicated matter, and I remember when we were just kind of putting this thing together back in 2016, we were just hastily trying to create a short-term solution to our workforce housing issue that we have here in town. And so I'm not surprised that we're coming back after 5 years and finding that we have some of these issues with the ordinance, and I think it's too complicated to discuss right now. And I'm also concerned about it going to just one committee meeting, because like you said, Trustee Barella, we have an ordinance committee, but we also have a committee that's devoted to public works. And so these taps are kind of in that realm as well. So I think it'd be better if we just get the whole board together.
Yep, that's why I was trying to clarify what the actual real issues were. So thank you. I agree with Jess.
And if I could just add, if this is something that we need to address pretty quickly,
It's time sensitive.
then we should take it in front of the entire board and just do a work session rather than going to committee then to work session. And so hopefully if we do just bring it directly to a work session in front of all of us, then we could hopefully solve it more quickly and expedite this process.
So do we want to wait another 2 weeks?
Or do we want to have, how dire is the need, Lisa?
My understanding is that this is time sensitive.
A week out or 2 weeks out?
So our next meeting, our regular meeting is on the 14th, almost 3 weeks from right now.
That's
And right now we have set up, obviously you can change that, but we have set up and we could put it in the regular meeting, but San Juan Development, Beth Kramer is going to present on housing, tentatively on that, which is what I was going to suggest. And then a couple of gentlemen, Sean, Andrietta, and Kelly, we're going to talk about locally sourced materials and alternative materials. We can put that into the meeting and we could do it then, but it seems 3 weeks might be more than we should wait.
June 7th? that better?
Well, what about June the 3rd on Thursday?
Oh,
I have a conflict.
I have a conflict.
Okay, June the 4th.
Let's have the same conflict both days.
Second,
No, it has to be after.
After the second? Did you say after the second?
Put it in the consideration of the second OHV petition. And then you could create one work session and we can make a regular meeting out of it.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it needs to be basically the 3rd or the 4th, because it needs the second OHV petition needs to be considered the same way that the first one was, and that is the very first date that according to the schedule that we were given, that it can be up for review. So if you kill two birds with one stone, it's all in one meeting.
I could make the 4th work, but not the 3rd.
I'm in the same boat,
Okay, so I
as long as it's in the evening.
say on the 4th,
I'm okay with the 4th, yeah.
okay, evening of the 4th.
Jess, you got it? Yeah, good.
You thinking 6?
Do we want 6 or do we want 7? Do we want a work session prior?
6.
6?
So,
I mean,
Jess, what works for you?
I mean, these 6s are hard. I didn't even get a chance to eat or shower after work.
I know.
So I would prefer 7, like I've been saying this whole time.
okay, 7.
Okay,
But I also don't like going to meetings on Fridays either.
That was,
7 PM.
work session on 7 PM on June 4th.
Great.
great.
All right, anything else on this agenda item? All right, our next agenda item is consideration to approve the special event application for Hard Rock 100.
Give the floor to Mr. Garland.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Dan.
I'm not quite sure, I'm prepared to do some remarks, but I also know that, you know, you may want to just ask me questions, or if this is something like almost like a consent agenda item. So I'm at your beck and call as terms of what you want to do.
Stepping in for former Director Lisa Adair, or I'm sorry, Lisa Brainer. The Hard Rock 100 Endurance Run will run July 16th through the 18th. It's a 100-mile endurance run starting and finishing in Silverton. There are proposed uses of the Memorial Park, that application, town right-of-way closure permit application, which seems to be Snowden Street. The finish line will be by the gym at the school, and banner permit. And Lisa Brainer has done an excellent job, as usual, in getting all the required information for this permit and application process. Mr. Dell has been wonderful to speak to in the short amount of time I have, and I believe this will be a great benefit to Silverton.
Thank you, Nathan. Just a couple of things for the town board. You have been, and you should have, a certificate naming the town as an additional insured through our insurance agency. We have submitted to Jim Donovan a COVID mitigation plan, and he is okay with our COVID mitigation plan. And we have been in communication with Superintendent Kim White on the use and the restrictions for use of the Silverton gym and the Silverton school.
Oh, you answered my question for me. Thank you for that information, Dale. It is a wonderful thing that this is back on our agenda, and I really do appreciate you only having to take a year off, because we all do love the Hard Rock 100. So I will make a motion to accept the special events the notice of intent to conduct a special event or civic function within the incorporated town limits for the Hard Rock 100 Endurance Run.
Second, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Barella.
Yes.
Trustee Harper.
Absolutely.
Trustee Weber.
Yes.
Trustee Bierma.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes, and a very warm thank you to everyone involved with this race. We really appreciate you hosting this here.
Sure. Well, on behalf of the about 500 people, runners, crew, and volunteers, Silverton is our home. This is our 27th running, our 30th year. So this is, I think, the town of Silverton and Hard Rock are very much a symbiotic relationship. So thank you. And we'll be in touch. Okay.
Have a great night.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is consideration for one-time forgiveness on the Carlcom water bill.
Due to Town Clerk Drew's absence, it seems that we have a request to waive the fees that this person has incurred because of a leak in their plumbing that they were unaware of. They believe it was a toilet issue where it was running, and it did skyrocket their water bill. So they are requesting that fee waiver to bring it back down to the regular amount of $213.43.
So since this is the first one of these, what is our protocol for this?
And there are two of them in our packet.
Yeah, but we introduced the resolution, or no, it's a resolution, about 2 years ago, and this is actually the first one we've ever had, isn't it? No, not the rate change. It was to forgive exorbitantly high water bills because people had faulty meters and leaks. So, but what are we just accepting it? Are we making a motion? That was the protocol.
Could someone remind me, because I was not here, is this a ordinance resolution?
Oh.
And you said about 2 years ago, Trustee Barella?
Do you remember, Jess?
I think it was when we were doing all the backflow prevention devices.
So that was in 2018 or 2019?
Sights on.
Yes.
Let's come up to panels.
And we do have a hand raised, which is Director Sykes promoting the panelists.
Or did we have one other one?
I thought we had one over the winter.
And Director Sykes, you are on. I did find the utility leak forgiveness resolution.
There we go.
Nice.
If I may, number one, if double or more the average usage of a prior 6 cycles is read, the responsible party can apply for leak forgiveness. Number 2, the leak situation must be reviewed and accepted as proven by the Silverton Public Works Department. This may require investigation of the leak conditions on premises by the department or by a plumber at a customer's expense. Number 3, if a leak is proven, leak forgiveness is applied for and approved based on criteria. The responsible party will pay base rate of plus 25% of overage. Number 4, any denial can be appealed to the Board of Trustees. And then it goes on to section C's and on.
Director Seitz, do you want to weigh in on either of these considerations for forgiveness?
Yeah, I did look at both of them. The comms meter failed immediately after the high reading. So I'm going to chalk that one up to the meter. And the, was it UI's? Actually, I checked that one out as well. I don't recall the exact circumstance of that one, but I spoke with him on the phone at length about it, and I'm comfortable with waiving them because that's what this is for. These people aren't using a bunch of water intentionally, and that's why we set up this system. I don't think that these are the first ones we've had either. I believe that we've had a couple of other ones that have gone before the board, but I don't recall whether or not it's a show of hands or if you need to vote, but I think it's more of a show of hands type thing.
The notice does state residents and business owners wishing to receive reimbursement or refund for their business license, vacation rental permit, or utility leak forgiveness shall submit a written request for each reimbursement refund to the town clerk treasurer at Silverton.
Okay, so then I'd make a motion to accept both of the waivers based on the Public Works Department for Carl and Ryan Ruiz. All in favor? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well, we
Okay,
would have to second the
we have a
motion, but yeah.
protocol now.
I can second.
Mayor Pro Tem seconded.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so then I guess that'll be the protocol going forward then. Will be a motion and then a second and then just a show of hands. I don't think it needs a roll call.
Director Seitzer, Deputy Clerk Baxter, any further direction needed on these?
I believe that myself and Clerk Freeze understand it will be a motion, a second, and show of hands for approval for future waivers.
Yeah, no, as far as I'm concerned, I just want to check them out. Sometimes people have a leaky toilet, and a leaky toilet can run 30,000 gallons through your meter in a month. If I check them out and I know that they're not just down there having a refilling a pool over and over to have a pool party or something like that, it's not costing the town of Silverton hundreds or thousands of dollars if somebody has a high water bill. It's really just it's a burden upon them to have to deal with a situation that is not a real burden on us. You know, if you're a business that's using a lot of water, that's reasonable to pay that water bill. But if you're a homeowner and you have a leaky toilet, or if you have a pipe break and you have 100,000 gallons of water that runs through your meter, I believe that should be forgiven. And I just wanted to check them out and verify them. And these two are good. And I'm glad we have a protocol now.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item on our agenda is consideration to approve IM Music event application.
And stepping in for Ms. Briner again, we do have Jesse Ogle and Alyssa Wolf with us here to answer any questions. They did submit 2 items to town staff. One of them is a response letter regarding the questions that the board had previously about the event, camping, lodging, restrooms, trash, etc. They also submitted a letter that they walked up and down Blair Street where the closure would take effect, went to the businesses as well as the residents to get signatures. If you read the letter, it does state, as a business owner resident in the proposed street closure district, I hereby declare my support to KSJC and IM Music for the dates of July 30th and 31st. And they have been informed of the street closure for the 2-day event, and that there will only be one food vendor to satisfy the state requirements to hold an event with their license to better support local food and beverage purveyors. And they have a couple comments and their signatures attached. And if there are any questions, we do have Ms. Wolf and Mr. Ogle available to answer.
Just one, I'm looking at this, was Natalia's contacted? Or is that not within the pattern? If Ben Talbot was contacted, was Natalia's contacted?
Can you repeat that question one more time? Was who contacted?
I'm just asking because there are further businesses, so if you went as far as the Bent Elbow, what about the Natalia's, the Shady Lady? Just asking to make sure all of them were contacted.
Tommy's places.
Tommy, yeah, Tommy Whiff.
Yeah, is there a map?
Were you only going directly, or were you only going directly with those in the enclosure containment?
We've only communicated with the ones that are directly affected by our street closure. As far as I know from what Julian has done, if you guys feel like it's necessary for us to communicate with all local businesses, we could go that next step, of course. But
Yeah, I think everybody should just be made aware. I think it's a wonderful idea, but we should make sure that every single business owner has the same opportunity that these were given.
And I note that Julian Roberts had his hand up, so I promoted him to panelist to also be able to weigh in because he may have communicated with those, local people. Julian, if you unmute yourself, you can participate in this discussion.
Great. Yeah, I was trying to also start my video, but having trouble with that. I have communicated with briefly with someone from the Shady Lady as well. I haven't been able to get a hold of Tommy Whip as of yet. And as far as Natalia's, I also hadn't even considered them as an option up until this point, or not to this point, up until I was distributing that letter, had already printed it out. I forgot that they were going to open. So they are someone that I've also been trying to get in contact with.
So would the board like to consider conditionally approving this, or would we like to continue to table this until they've been able to contact all of the residents on that street and business owners? Trustee Brella?
No, I'm for the conditional approval based on the application being completed and turned into to Nate. I'm not sure exactly what role he'll be playing in that, but I think he's taken over most of this event stuff for former communications director, with the provision that all of the signatures are required, because I think this is a wonderful idea. I'm very happy to see something happening again, that in conjunction with Summer Sounds, we should have some life back into our town, and it feels good.
Trustee Varela, I did have a question. Are we requesting a document with all businesses on Blair that are contacted, regardless of the extension of the closure?
Well, yeah, because like I said, if you went as far as to ask Darlene at the Bent Elbow, you've got to give the same consideration to everybody else down the block, just to make them aware of what's happening.
I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you. That's my motion.
Could you just say that again? Sorry.
I'd like to make a motion to conditionally accept the I Am Music Festival. Condition being that all business owners within the 2-block radius are contacted, and the documentation turned over to Deputy Clerk Nathan Baxter, because they did address every single other one of our concerns in a very timely manner.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Barney?
Yeah, I'll second. And I just wanted to acknowledge and say the same thing to you guys, that this was such a thorough follow-up and really a good job addressing all of the questions that came up last time, which was a lot. So thanks. I second the motion.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All right, Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Varela.
Yes.
Trustee Harker.
Yes.
Trustee Weger.
Yes.
Trustee Bierman.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney.
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes. Well, I Am Music Crew, thank you so much. And hopefully you guys get those last few items wrapped up quickly, and we look forward to the event.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be in touch with Nathan and Julian and Jesse. We'll talk after this call.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is 4th of July Association.
Hello. My name is Sharon Heinbaum. I am an activities committee with the town of Silverton. 4th of July Association. I'm representing the association tonight. For the 4th of 2021, we are focusing on a small scale, locally focused 4th of July. We will do no advertising for the 4th and thus will not have a concentrated media campaign promoting the 4th. We have spoken to the Office of Emergency Management regarding what is allowed for festivities for the 4th. And we were informed that with the current state public health outdoor event regulations, we are permitted to have the following. Have fireworks with fire restrictions permitting. And the association will be faithful to set up a protective 500-foot safety corridor around the fireworks detonation area to protect the public. Also, what is allowed is that we can have the bouncy house attractions in Memorial Park from noon to 4. This will be free to all of our citizens and people who come, but each person will be required to obtain a wristband to keep account of persons who are participating. We will also allow food vendors in the park. They are responsible for pulling their own permits. Due to the recent retraction of OHV ordinance, there is now an abundance of private campground lots available for camping. Therefore, there is no need for town camping for the week of the 4th. And nor do we, as an association, do we want to compete with our town's already damaged local camping establishments. Furthermore, we will not be requesting financial support from the town of Silverton for the 4th of July festivities of 2021. Thank you for your attention.
Any trustee discussion or questions?
I think it's great that the regulations are going to allow this to go on. The current COVID regulations we have.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Heinbach. It looks like Director Seitz has a question or a comment. Director Seitz. Was that an accidental hand up, Director Seitz?
It was not. I just having some problems with my connection here. If you can hear me, I just wanted to make the comment that I've been in contact with Bob's John's to make arrangements for portable toilets for the 4th at this time. They're on board, so we're planning on being prepared for that. Hopefully we get some rain and we're allowed to have the celebration.
Thank you. Trustee Burrell, is there anything else you'd like to add as a committee member?
No, that's why we had
association
a
member?
the spokesperson spoke for the committee.
Great. All right, if there's no other questions or comments, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is our consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be removed, or do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I can make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I thought I had a typo or a something in here, but
Ready?
it's very, because it goes black, so.
I know, I just had,
Yeah, so if it's very minor, so I'm okay with moving forward. Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second.
Deputy Clerk, I'll allow you to figure out who seconded. Roll call, please.
Did I get the clarification on the seconds?
Sure, I'll take it this time.
Trustee Barella,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Wegger,
Yes.
trustee Bierman,
Yes.
trustee Jordan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes. All right, Administrator Edwards, the next item on our agenda is staff reports.
Staff that want to bring their report, or are there any questions on the staff reports from the trustees?
Trying to get there.
I have a
Congratulations.
general. Sorry, go ahead, Trustee Barella.
Well, congratulations to Kelly for receiving a $400 scholarship for the Clerk Institute from CIRSA, and her work on the April actuals, entering into the spreadsheet, working without the oversight of former Administrator Ryder, who was very apt at financials. So I'm very proud of Kelly for assuming those roles and really digging in and knowing what she has to do.
Kudos to both Kelly and Nate, who helped manage the behind the scenes last week, which was busy, as you're all aware, and made sure we had coffee and food and knew where we needed to be when we needed to be there.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Kelly.
So I just had a quick question. It seems already that Nathan's taken on some additional responsibility, and I was curious if there's any other information that you can share at this time, Administrator Edwards, about the distribution of responsibilities that were under Lisa Branner as Community Relations Manager.
Director Bove and Mr. Baxter, Deputy Clerk Baxter, excuse me, are both taking on duties, as well as some on the periphery by others. The question is, do we go ahead and we hire somebody right now? I think that would be in an ideal situation based upon where we are. But I also think that that's something, I'm caught in between that and going ahead and put advertising out right now, or letting the new administrator make that hire and work with the board on identifying if there's any restructure that you all want to have based upon the town's changed a bit since the last time the job descriptions were reviewed. I can get more information to you on that, but that's where I am, frankly. Yes.
I would like to take a moment and just thank Lisa Briner. She has been absolutely amazing in training me up on special events, all her peripherals that she was working on. She will sorely be missed by town staff. She was absolutely wonderful, but I am confident for the time being until either decisions made by the board or whether or not to hire someone immediately or wait until the new administration, that Lisa buttoned things up nicely for us. And she did train us well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you very much, Nathan and Todd, for stepping up and taking on additional responsibility.
Can I just get the board's thoughts on allowing the administrator to come in and identify how we might want to structure going forward?
I think it should be the board and the new administrator working collectively to figure out, because we've never actually had a full job description for that title. It was an events coordinator and then it morphed into community relations. And so I think that we really need to examine it as far as the salary range. I believe originally was listed at 38.5 when it was first hired for. So we need to make sure all those parameters are set up. And I think that would be a wonderful way for the new administrator to start moving forward. That's my personal opinion.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Thank you. I agree as well.
So we'll work steady with staff to stay the course right now and fill in. Just
Yeah, and I'd
be a little forgiving.
Yeah, I'd agree that we should wait for the new administrator, but I just want to thank the staff in advance because I know when you lose, an employee, a lot of that is going to fall on you. So thank you so much already for the work you've done and for the work you're going to be doing in the future until we fill that position.
All right. The next item on our agenda is committee reports. Have we had any committee meetings to report on since our last meeting?
No.
All right. Trustee reports.
Sorry, I just dropped my pen.
I have just a statement. You know me, you guys can make fun of me. I would like to be able to do this off the cuff. I have to write sort of to organize my thoughts, but my trustee report is that our community is tense right now. Surprise. And we're experiencing a lot of disagreement and division. I don't think this is new. I think it's not unique. And I think people who have lived in Silverton a lot longer than I have felt this way in the past. And this is really hard. This is a hard situation to be in. And so I just want to say that even more than the issue that's creating some tension around OHVs, what I want to give a report on is the tone of our discussion and the way we express our disagreement and the way we're treating each other. It makes me feel disheartened, distressed, discouraged. I hear the emotion, I hear the anger, I hear frustration, and I actually hear cruelty expressed towards one another. And I know that I'm not alone in feeling like I need this community right now. And I know that I need to lead with compassion and understanding. And I need to be treated with compassion and understanding, just like everyone else on the board. And I'm just wondering if the community would be willing to communicate with each other in a more civil, respectful manner, and to carefully consider before posting on Facebook, to reread and revise before sending that email, and to breathe before reacting. And this is a big ask, but seriously, whether or not we have OHVs or masks or the right trash cans, if we live in a community where emotion tanks our ability to communicate rationally, we are not building our community. We are decimating it. And I think this job can require thick skin, but it shouldn't require a suit of armor. We all share a passion and a love of this beautiful place. And I would just hate to see this ugliness go to seed in such a spectacular town. So I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I would really encourage checking our meanness at the door. That's my report.
Thank you very, very much. I have a brief statement on a slightly different topic as well. I'd like to address the comments I've received, and now Trustee Birma has also received, about not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't speak for Trustee Birma. I speak only for myself. But I have enormous respect for all those who served and have served our country in the armed forces. I also hold our American values in high regard, and I'm very proud to be a public servant, serving this community and our nation. The commitment and sacrifices made by those who serve and have served were done specifically to protect our ability to express ourselves openly and freely, such as choosing not to participate in the Pledge of Allegiance, which I do not literally agree with for a variety of reasons. I believe the intolerance and assumptions reflected by the statements and actions of aggression against myself and Trustee Birma are much more divisive than he or I choosing to exercise our freedoms of expression. And so I would respect or appreciate the community showing that respect for our freedom of expression the same way we will in turn to you. So thank you.
Ain't gonna happen.
Any other trustee reports? All right, moving on to continued business. The first item is affordable housing.
It mentioned earlier that I had talked, we were going to have a work session in a prior meeting that was moved on because we put a different work session in there. I'm hoping the board to approve to have a work session on the June 14th meeting. Yeah, June 14th meeting, 6 to 7, or can be integrated into the meeting actually too. That would be fine. Actually, you said 7, so let's put it into the meeting.
Thank you.
And that would be Beth Kramer from San Juan Development talking about different policies that can be done without investing direct cash, and then a presentation for about 15, and then a Q&A, and then Sean, Henrietta, and Kelly on alternative technologies, and as well as locally sourced materials from the region. So, and then there may be another little snippet, but we're talking about that could be a presentations of probably 45 minutes. I'll work with them to pull that down, but at the front end of the meeting. But we'll do 7 for the 14th. Well, I say we'll do 7. I should ask you, is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Being
like a regular presentation, right?
Yep. Yep. Then, well, is there anything else on affordable housing that you want to direct? Go ahead.
Just had a quick topic to bring up again. I know in past affordable housing discussions, I've mentioned looking into the feasibility or viability of a vacancy tax. And I just wasn't sure if that had happened at all, or if that would be something we could potentially discuss.
There are a lot of things mentioned, and I got caught up in some other things that we've been doing. But I'll get back on that. We have a few weeks between our 14th meeting. I'll look at that too, even if it's a report.
Do we have any updates on any of the things that we've discussed in properties that we've looked at with regards to land banking?
Well, I did check in with DOLA on, we had talked about purchasing, then we also talked about there was a question that was brought up about wetlands and some property and some other things, and I haven't.
Avalanche hazard.
Go ahead. And avalanche, yes. And I haven't heard back from DOLA on that. I did talk to Building Inspector McDougall because he was working with the county on those properties, and we started a conversation. It's had a hiccup, and I need to reignite that conversation as it relates to building down at the affordable housing at Anvil. That was one of the others. Is there any other I'm missing right now? That's what you're referring to, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, knowing that it's, again, a time-sensitive issue, is there a way we can kind of poke DOLA a little bit to get them to respond?
Yeah, I can follow up with him first thing in the morning. Will do.
Thank you.
Thanks for that reminder.
Anthony, I'm not sure if this is the time to ask you now or if it's a work session question, but you can just advise either way. I'm wondering if we have platted streets and alleys that are not developed that could go into our sort of land analysis.
So you're wondering if there may be some dead ends or somewhere where we could vacate and we could do something maybe with adjacent property owners or something of that nature?
Yep.
Where the
I'm sorry.
red building is. What happened with
Something
the
like
building?
the red building, yep. Mhm.
Where are you
What
suggesting?
other? Sorry,
Where are you suggesting?
I'm not, I'm just
think-
wondering if it exists.
Oh,
You're wanting me to come back and talk to the board about that?
Yeah.
That might be.
oh, okay.
Okay. We'll work on that, to look and bring it back to you like we did that other list. A lot of those places on that first list that we all had put together were knocked off, including some of the ones that you had mentioned up at or somebody had mentioned up by the water storage facility. Yeah, up here. There were issues there, but okay.
Thank you.
Yes, that's affordable housing. The attorney update I'm not involved in. I don't know if anybody on the mayor or the trustees want to mention anything.
No, I look forward to our presentations.
What?
I'm sorry.
On affordable housing, I look forward to the presentations. I don't have anything to add.
We had
About attorney interviews,
missed this. We were asking about
Oh,
the,
apologies.
no, that's fine.
attorney update.
The attorney update. I'm not familiar. Is there anything to update right now? Okay. Administrator update?
Only that we had a series of meetings last week, if someone would like to speak to that.
In reference to what?
Sure, we interviewed 4 candidates, 5. How many? I can't remember. I'm trying to.
4.
We interviewed 4 candidates last Thursday, and we had a really good discussion following those interviews, and we just need more time.
Great, thank you. All right, elephant in the room, OHVs.
Yeah, yes. So on OHVs, as I was directed on Tuesday, try to start looking into what options we may have. There's a lot of different moving parts. There have been a lot of calls, emails, both the chamber and town has fielded. Town staff has been real troopers. They've been well, it's not been always pretty. I'll just leave it at that. In regards to reaching out, I've reached out to the Historical Society to determine if they may be able to have property, if they have property where there could be a staging area. Reached out to, talked to Anthony Castronovia. I think that's his right name. He's looking at another camping area in the county. He's interested, his business and his business partner interested in if we can find some space, donating some labor and at cost gravel. If we could need gravel to put somewhere. I'm trying to think what else. I talked to Gigi about the poker run and that's what's the date set for that right now?
August 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
August 20th, 21st, and 22nd. That's an event that starts at the on Blair Street and then comes back to Blair Street. And the question is, are we open to events and a variance on an event such as that? And I explained to her, she already knew, but that there is issues that have been brought up with noise, but that event can be, it can have separation between when people go out. So that was asked, and we need to revisit that. In regards to, I think that's probably it right now. I also reached out to the county administrator Tukey to ask him where there might be a staging area, but it's not necessarily as they've looked before, and it's they had difficulty. That's not that they're not looking again, but yes.
So Tommy Whiff stopped by this morning. Since there is still an ordinance in place that the route exists, the paint has been bought, the paint sprayer is bought, they are painting tomorrow afternoon. I guess he looked at the weather and said that that was the best date. Sheriff Conrad and Tommy came up with a plan for the line in the street to, because it still exists. The current ordinance exists, so OHVs are allowed on the route. And he is continuing with what he committed to do.
Just a slight update on pamphlets and maps. Myself and the crew over at the Silverton Standard, along with Gina Rosato, have put together a mock-up. It did go to the printers. They're expecting, I believe it was 2,500 maps to be delivered Friday, so we can put those in the kiosk at the end of town, at the existing staging area, and to the local businesses, so people who do come to town still have access to know what the designated routes are, the rules and responsibilities and regulations that they must abide by while this current ordinance is working its way through the timeline process before June 20th at 12:01 a.m. And I do want to say how very proud I am of that group of women. They have come up with something that's truly, truly special. They did well.
Nathan, do we have any of the 2020 brochures left?
We do have
several cases here at Town Hall. Do we have any of those left? I'm going through them pretty fast.
We do not have several cases. We have, I believe, one case left, and we have a handful after some were already distributed. We can give those out absolutely to the businesses that need them beforehand. I have had a couple of the local businesses contact me and ask if we could just print out a paper copy for them. So we've done that as well.
Great, thank you.
There's one other thing about OH fees. We put out a notification today, just to be clear. The Silverton Lakes Campground is that there is some OHV use inside that campground to 19th Street and north, the way that the agreement was made with them. And so if there's anybody asking you, if you had some questions of what that's about, well, that was an agreement in place before any of this.
Hmm.
I think that's
Any
it.
additional?
Go ahead, Mayor.
I was just going to ask if there's any additional comments or questions.
Can we clarify whether they can get from 110 to County Road 2 or not? To make that loop from Gladstone?
Before or after the 20th?
After the 20th. We know they can do it now, but after the 20th, when the restrictions go into effect, can they still get from 110 over to County Road 2?
Can they not go up the Cemetery Road?
Yeah, what portion is county, what portion is city? I don't know. I don't know.
I believe that's county. The county maintains it.
The whole thing all the way through, or does it stop at one point?
I think all the way through.
Okay.
Well,
Would Lisa Adair know? Go ahead, Anthony.
I think we'll need to get a map and we'll have to talk to the attorney and find out as it's written. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you right now, but we'll have it by the next meeting. We'll have it actually before.
We do have a planning director either with her hand raised. I'm promoting to panelist.
I believe that the road having some internet trouble tonight. I believe that the truck bypass road would hook County Road 110 to County Road 2. And it's my understanding that that's a county road that runs along the town boundary.
Probably less than a week.
Singer.
I just want to bring to your attention that.
Are we moving to public comment?
How does that work?
It's not a public comment.
Okay.
Really, it's just something for your attention. There may be a conflict. The Silverton Music Series is also on August 20th when the poker run's happening. So there might be some competing ways there. So just to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right, is that it for us for OHVs?
Yeah, unless there's anything for staff.
All right. Moving along to our closing meeting public comment. If you're participating via Zoom, please click the raise hand button. You'll be promoted to panelist. You'll be allotted 3 minutes to speak, and I've been asked to remind everyone that we do have a civility code that applies to these meetings. We haven't revisited it in a very long time or published it within the meeting minutes, but it does still apply. So please be mindful of the town's civility code.
We do have Melody Skinner. I'm promoting to panelist. Melody, if you unmute yourself.
I think I'm unmuted. Traditionally, before OHVs were ever allowed in town, they had the truck bypass, which is from County Road 2 past the cemetery to County Road 110. I'd be quite surprised if that was not allowed at this point, but you'll have to look at a map and decide. And regardless of anybody's opinion as to how this happened, it does give folks a way to finish the loop, which is very important to most OHV people. And they used to park there and walk into town for meals or whatever. Not a lot of them, but there would be people that would do that. And I just wanted to let you know. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You come up to the podium.
Online though.
I just wanted to say that I totally respect Mayor Pro Tem Barney's comments about civility. And I agree that I think people get out of hand and mean on Facebook. But I also think actions speak louder than words sometimes, and actions can be mean. And 4 of you wiped the legs out from business owners in this town with no notice, not giving them time to plan, not giving visitors time to plan. And that was mean too. Thank you.
This is Jimmy Keene. Is it my turn now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I 100% do not, I'm going to say it again, do not support bullying. I also 100% support consistency. I'd like to understand from the board why it's not okay for Mr. Ron Highball to challenge a trustee, but yet it is okay for the mayor to confront a citizen of Silverton at their workplace while on the clock, while serving customers. It appears certain leaders of this town only like to enforce controls when it benefits them. You all can do better, and if you can't, you need to step down. Thank you.
That's false information. That did not occur.
That is your opinion, Mr. Mayor.
No one was confronted at any point. So thank you for your comment, but you're speaking off of false information.
You are most welcome. Thank you. Love your smirk, man, when you're called out. It's awesome. You better hurry up and hit stop, Mayor. Come on, hurry up and hit stop. You can do it.
Mr. Keene, you're now out of line. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have Toll Davenport, and I'm promoting to panelist. Toll, if you unmute yourself, you can speak.
Thank you. Sorry. Hey, this is Cole Davenport. I've seen a lot of promises made by this board, and it's surprising and appalling to me that all these promises that you guys made as panelists, and you lied to the people. All of you, including the mayor. I respect you guys as people in this community, and I am willing to work with every one of you. But what you guys did is very wrong to this people, including the oath of the United States Constitution that you all took. As a veteran, as everybody else in this community who have also sacrificed their time and their life, and many more who've lost their lives. This is very disturbing. I hope you guys see your fate as what you guys did on this board. Thank you. Good night.
Currently, there are no more hands raised.
Is there anybody that's here that wants to come up? There's nobody here.
All right, at this moment, we will close public comment. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night. This meeting is adjourned.